How's everybody? Everybody ready for Christmas?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Sure. You don't sound confident with that. You sounded confident, like you're.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready to not cover sports on a Friday. That's kind of cool. I won't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of be like,
go to sleep at a human hour.
I know, right?
Hello, everybody, and welcome into Access Sports Weekly. I'm Caleb Hutchins alongside Jeff Hart, Seth Chapman, the man behind the little camera. We're in front of the big camera. He's in front of that.
They're
one.
equally sized cameras.
Oh, I guess that's true. That one's just on like a bigger setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taller tripod.
Okay.
Yes.
Seth's smart. He knows camera stuff. Welcome into the show, everybody, and glad to have you with us. So, Christmas week. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. But also, I know a couple of teams in the area that are going to be having a Merry Christmas because, Jeff, we got two teams that are headed for state championship games next week.
Buford, Jefferson, I think we kind of all hoped and thought that we could get to this point with these two teams. We certainly felt like Rabin had a good shot. Didn't quite work out for them, but
I think we felt like Commerce had a shot there.
Commerce had a shot. We had 4 or 5 teams really that had legitimate chances to get to Georgia State Stadium. We got 2. We'll count our blessings. It's very difficult to get to this point. A lot of good teams, particularly when you get to the quarterfinal round. I mean, it's those are state title matchups a lot of times. And Commerce ran into the one, and then last week Rabin ran into one. But both had legitimate chances to win. But Jefferson and Buford really looked impressive.
Well, let's start with the team that really looked impressive, and that was Buford. You were there for that one. Buford just rolls over Valdosta 45-26, and it wasn't that close. It was 31-0 at halftime.
It was 45-14.
Yeah, at one point, and Valdosta scores a couple touchdowns late, but it was 31-0 at halftime, and really, this game was over at 14-0 because Buford scores on their opening play on a long touchdown pass to Jake Pope. Valdosta's second drive looks like they might have a little something going on offense.
Well, it was their first drive.
Pick 6 to Tommy Bugles, and it just felt like game, set, match after that.
It did. It did not set a record for me starting to write a story, but it was really, really close. I just kind of felt at that point, I mean, Valdosta actually moved the ball on that opening drive, but Buford was getting penetration. Their quarterback was the real deal. I mean, he was advertised as a good dual-threat quarterback. He has a nice touch on the ball. He can throw deep. He is hard to bring down. He's real shifty. He ended up throwing for almost 300 yards in that game and 4 touchdowns. So, the Buford just constantly got pressure on him. And you could kind of, even in that first drive, you kind of felt they would eventually get to him. And just, the line got a hand on the ball, fell right into Bugles' hands, and it was off to the races. And at that point, I think everybody in the press box we just kind of looked around and we went, okay, yeah, this is kind of done. And then Buford went up 21-0 like 2 minutes later.
Yeah, and when you think of Buford and how they've dominated people in the past, you often think about a team grinding somebody out, where it might be 7-0 at the end of the first quarter, or 14 or 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, but it's 41-0 midway through the third because they're just grinding people out. We're not used to seeing Buford jump a really good team in Valdosta, by the way, that quickly, where they're hitting big play after big play, and they just get on Valdosta so quickly out of the gate that it wasn't a game in the third quarter because it wasn't a game in the second quarter.
No, it wasn't. That I think that is something that this particular team, Buford, did not have last year, even though they won the state title, and they certainly didn't have it a couple years past before that. But, it didn't surprise me in a little bit because you felt like Buford was going to come out and run the ball. They were going to try to establish a line of scrimmage. And Valdosta, they put like 8, 9, 10 guys in the box. And there was a quick call, and they went over the top. And that's something Buford has not had in the last few years. And as soon as the receiver broke, you knew if he just released the ball, it was going to be a touchdown, and it was. And, seeing Buford, like you said, jump a team real fast, that's they're already good when they have that kind of capability. Then you start getting to that scary realm.
Well, Class 6A championship, Buford is going to be facing Lee County. I think most people feel like this is going to be the toughest challenge that Buford has had this year. Lee County, in their own right, also blew out Valdosta at the end of the regular season. So these look like two teams that on paper should match up pretty well against each other. I think it's going to be a pretty good game in the nightcap for Tuesday.
It is. They've been ranked numbers 1 and 2 most of the year, if not all year. They're the only two undefeated teams left in 6A. It's the only state championship matchup of undefeated teams. Both offenses and both defenses are in the top 3.
I don't think that's correct.
That is correct.
Well, because Class 4A, correct me if I'm wrong, Jefferson and Marist are both undefeated.
Oh, that is absolutely correct. No, you know what? That's what I meant to say. With both of our games are the only matchups. That's right. You're right.
Well, let's go ahead and use that to seamlessly transition into Jefferson and their win over Benedictine last week.
I think you need to look up the definition of seamless.
I thought it was pretty good.
It was good. It might not have been seamless.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know. Jefferson kind of had just an also-ran kind of game, really.
Oh, yeah. It was one of the best games in the state of Georgia all night.
Maybe the Southeast. That was a tremendous game.
Jefferson and Benedictine in Savannah, 42-35. Jefferson wins. I got to be down there for that one. Brian Moore, the principal at Jefferson, was, by the way, gracious enough to join us on the broadcast. Did a good job as well, and we appreciate that. All the folks, by the way, I want to say at Jefferson were helpful to us as we were getting set up down there at Memorial Stadium in Savannah. But, yeah, Benedictine was a team that had a very explosive offense, and they showed that during that game. They were high-powered on offense, and Jefferson took some shots early in that game, and some of them were self-inflicted. Jefferson committed a lot of penalties in the first half. They committed a couple of special teams errors there early in the second half.
That is surprising how they have been able to crush teams just with their special teams.
And, I think Benedictine did some things that surprised them. But every time Jefferson got their backs to the wall, it felt like it was always Malachi Starks who was the answer. He ends up going for 320 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, a passing touchdown, and the game-winning interception. It's about as complete a performance as I think you're going to see.
Well, only if he provided Gatorade when he wasn't on the field to those coming off the field.
Maybe if he drove the bus back home.
Possibly, I'm sure is he old enough to drive? I think he is. But, did he sell, was he in the concession stands on the visitor side?
No, because he was on the field for every snap.
Other than that, I mean, not totally complete, but just about.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
I tell you that, really how that game transpired really didn't surprise me. I think we talked last week, that hybrid kind of offense that Benedictine had, which I would have been very interested to see how they pulled that off. So I know that you had some interesting thoughts about what you saw from Benedictine, and was it a matchup issue or just that's a difficult offense to stop?
I think it's just a difficult offense to stop. I was talking to Coach Cathcart earlier, and he said that that their receivers, Trent Broadnax in particular, are so fast that they're just tough to cover. I mean, just outright, it wasn't really anything more complicated than that. I don't think it was, certainly them going with 2 different offensive styles is hard to defend, but I think they're also just really good at what they do. And Jefferson's defense is one of the best we've covered all year. But Benedictine did a pretty good job. Now, I will say Jefferson's defense settled into the game in the second half after they kind of got hit with, they got bad field position on the muffed kick to start the second half, and then they had the fake punt that got Benedictine down to about the 15-yard line, kind of set them up again. But whenever Jefferson had Benedictine put back deep in their own territory, it was very difficult for Benedictine to move the ball. It wasn't until I would say the last drive of the game in the fourth quarter where Benedictine really showed an ability to drive against Jefferson's defense. But Benedictine's also really good, so they hit on some big plays.
Right.
But it was the ability of Jefferson to fight back after each and every. I think there were a lot of really good teams, and I'm talking about teams close to or as good as Jefferson, who in the same situation might have folded up tent and might have lost that game like 35-14. But Jefferson kept battling back. Every time something went wrong, they had a response. Paxton Corkery blocking a punt in the second quarter to let them tie the game up. It was something every time. And usually it was Malachi Starks. Benedictine just could not stop him the entire night.
Nobody's really been able to stop him. I think that's going to be a performance that, 20, 30, 40 years from now, Jefferson fans, if they go on to complete this and win the state title, that's going to be the one they're going to talk about. Because that's where you need your best player to be the best player. And, as you told me several times, he kind of just like, give me the ball. I'm just ride me. We're going to the state title game. And that's what you got to have. And you have to, if you're a great player, you have to step up. Malachi Starks is a great player. I think he may have solidified himself as perhaps one of the top 5 players in the entire state, all classifications, regardless of position. And, stepping up in the big moment. I mean, that's how you, you develop something that people are going to talk about forever.
Well, it's what I wrote in the article that I wrote after the game is that, we get the chance to cover a lot of great players, a lot of spectacular players. We've had a chance to cover some 5-star players. We've got a couple in the area right now. Malachi's one of them, but we've had some other ones in the past. But it's rare that you see that kind of performance out of one in that kind of situation. And he wrote his name into Jefferson football history with that performance Friday night. And the run that he had, the game-winning touchdown run where he's dead to rights at his own 43-yard line. He's in the middle of the field. He's got 2-3 defenders draped on him. And then somehow he just spins, and it's just like magic. These defenders just fall off him, and he hits the sideline. And, how you play both ways all night long, and you're in game 13 of the season, game 12 of the season, whatever it was for Jefferson, and you've still got the energy to hit that sideline and bolt 50 yards to the end zone, outrace the entire defense, was amazing to me. But Jefferson's got Marist next in the state title game, and that will, like we said about Buford, it being their toughest matchup yet, this is going to be the toughest challenge Jefferson's had, I think, by far so far. This Marist team, we saw them beat Flowery Branch 24-0 earlier in the playoffs. This is a Marist team, might be the best defense in the state of Georgia in most classifications, I would say, and they're pretty good on offense, too.
Yeah, they're not even giving up a field goal.
Yeah, it's
per
insane.
Game on average, 2.8 points a game. But I wonder, have they seen? Look, Jefferson's not. They're going to come out and they're saying, we're running the option. Stop us. I mean, they're not going to try to trick you. They're not going to 5 wide. They're not going to. They're going to move forward and make you stop them. So this is going to be a tremendous test of wills. You've got the best offense in 4A against the best defense in 4A, maybe the best defense in the state. I would like to see how Marist should do against, say, Grayson, but or Buford even. But I think it's going to be, it's going to be a classic matchup. And Jefferson's defense, it's going to get kind of lost in the shuffle with this when you talk about their defense is only giving up like 10 points a game, and that's aside from the game against Benedictine. Jefferson defense is no slouch. This is going to be a classic.
Jefferson's going to play Marist in the Class 4A title game at 3:30, and that is at Center Park Credit Union Stadium, Georgia State Stadium. For those who don't know, it got its name changed about a year ago in Atlanta. You can hear that game on FM 102.9 WDUN, streaming, of course, also at accesswdun.com. And then immediately after that, the 7 o'clock kick on that Tuesday, the 29th, is Buford and Lee County in the Class 6A title game. You can hear that one on AM 550. The only team in our area that lost last week was Rabun County, falling at Callaway. Seth, unfortunately, made the drive down to LaGrange with the Wildcats, and Seth, that was a game. Adriel Clark gets the record-breaking touchdown there in the second quarter. Rabun draws back within 14-10, but it just got out of hand from there.
Yeah, I remember going to my car at halftime and getting everything ready, getting my other cameras out and ready to go, and then coming back and then sadly, slowly watching Rabun lose grip on that game. It was very sad for me, but Adriel Clark making that record-breaking catch, big highlight of that game.
Pretty amazing. 28 touchdown catches in a single season for Adriel Clark. And remember, this is a guy, this wasn't a guy who had a great deal of familiarity with Gunner Stockton and with the offense. He had to come in and adjust to the offense and to Gunner Stockton in year one because he was part of Riverside Military's football team, and he found a new home at Rabun County when Riverside closed down the program back in the spring. And to come in year one, it makes you wonder, Jeff, what could have been if Adriel Clark had been a Rabun County Wildcat all 4 years of his career?
You got to wonder. Look, the all-time state record is 46. He ended up with 44 touchdown passes in his career, which means he had 16 at Riverside in his brief, not quite 2 full years. I mean, this is a kid right here that, he's starting to get some looks at the end of the season. I mean, it's apparent. I've watched him play. He knows how to get open. He can catch the ball. He's got speed. He's got size. It's perfect combination for a wide receiver. And it's going to be interesting to see whoever decides to offer him and wherever he signs. I mean, I kind of feel like they're getting a diamond in the rough. But yeah, if he had been a Raven the whole time, if he had been in a pass happy offense the whole time, he probably would have shattered the record that may never be broken.
Well, 41-17, Raven County ends up falling to Callaway. Their season's over at 12-2. But as I mentioned earlier, we got two teams playing in the state title game next week, and we are going to have plenty of coverage on that. Right now,
I do want to go back to something we haven't talked about when it comes to Raven right now. It's Gunnar Stockton. He is going to be within striking distance, if he has another year like he had this year, of setting the all-time passing record. I mean, who's ahead of him? Deshaun and Trevor Lawrence. That's it. He is third all-time already, or will be, in the passing record. He has a chance to break the all-time record if he has another year like he had this year. Gunnar, Clark wouldn't have gotten the record without somebody throwing the ball. And they made a great combination. So the thing for them who will step up next year for Raven. But Gunner's going to have a shot at it. Whether he can get there, they're going to have to go deep into the playoffs, and he's going to have to put up some prolific numbers. But I think it's possible he could break the record. I'm not going to predict it because you've got to have a lot of things to go right. But he's going to finish in the top 2 or 3.
Well, right now it's time to get to Seth's picks. Seth, you got some good stuff for us this week?
Oh, yeah, we had just a wonderful weekend of football. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the analysis this week due to time constraints. So, here are the picks, guys.
Touchdown, Raven County.
So that's it for Seth's picks. Pretty good stuff, and we got video on all 3 of our state semifinal games as well.
Yes, was very excited about that. That's not something we're often able to say, but we could this year. So
I will say that this show is under protest because I didn't get to look and critique and look at the highlights this week like I did last week. So this show is officially under protest.
We will note that in the video description. But right now, it is time for the
WilHart Team of the Week.
And as always, we give our votes on Team of the Week. So, Jeff, I'm going to let you do the honors. You will get the first pick, the first vote this week.
I'm going to have to go with Jefferson because first state title game since 2012. Just a tremendous win with a great effort by Malachi Starks. That's my WilHart Team of the Week.
I will say Malachi could have by himself been Team of the Week this week.
That was my point when it was going to come to me. I was going to make the exact same point.
I would say for Team of the Week, I would say Buford because of how thoroughly they dominated Valdosta.
Wow.
Every phase of the game. I don't think we saw that degree of I know the score is probably not unreasonable from what we thought could happen, but the way Buford got on top of Valdosta so quickly, I'm going with the Wolves. But I think I know where Seth's going, so I think I know where the tiebreaker's going.
Why do y'all always make me do the tiebreaker?
Because there's 2 of us, so it happens a lot.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go Jefferson as well.
Okay.
Why do you say it like that?
Well, yeah, I disagree, but I mean, that's your right you have an equal vote on this board.
Just the all around, Malachi, as you said, it could be said that we could dub him Team of the Week himself. But also I recently got to go talk to Malachi and a couple of his fellow players and Coach Cathcart. Did a really cool Gaining the Edge feature on him. Y'all check that out. Not only a wonderful player, a great kid, and a good dude.
Absolutely. No arguments there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so my cue is Jefferson for getting in state playoff game.
Well, congratulations to Jefferson. You are this week's
WilHart Team of the Week.
And that's going to do it for us here on Access Sports Weekly. Everybody, have a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
Happy holiday. Have a great weekend. And then we've got state championship football coming up for you on Tuesday. We've got the Lanierland tournament starting on Monday at Gainesville High School. You can hear every game on the Jacobs Media airwaves. And we've got another good surprise for you coming on that front, too. So stay tuned. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching Access Sports Weekly. Check out all the other great stuff here at AccessWDUN.com and the Friday Game Night page. Follow us on Twitter at AccessWDUN Sports, at Friday Game Night. And we'll talk to you next week.
The next time we see everybody, it will be a new season of Access Sports Weekly. This will be the last episode in the season. Please join us for season 6. Yeah, like and subscribe.